What's going on, everybody, and welcome into the Parlay Prince podcast. March Madness special today. As always, I'm the Prince, joined by my good friend and cousin, Ryan Brankovich. Ryan, how you doing? All the way up there in Pennsylvania. Thanks for joining me. Chop it up a little bit about some college hoops.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great time of year, best tournament in sports, and interested to hear your picks.
Yes, sir. Ryan, let's start off with, we're going to talk about sleepers because, in March, there's always a sleeper team that works its way into the Elite Eight, some of the higher seed Sweet 16, and possibly even the Final Four. Who's a sleeper team for you?
I mean, I really like Virginia Tech. I think they have a lot of momentum going right now, winning the ACC and stuff and really coming out of nowhere. And, momentum is like a huge thing in college basketball, as we know. And I definitely just, for whatever reason, it's a certain feeling. I could just definitely see Virginia Tech at least making it to the Sweet 16 here.
Yeah, no, I like the Hokies. I cashed that ticket. I'm going to put that down in the chat for you guys if you want to see the type of ticket that I cashed this weekend. Not probably, the best parlay that I've ever hit. And Virginia Tech was a part of it. I loved what they did in the ACC tournament after getting that buzzer beater against Clemson. They pretty much just took care of business, took care of UNC, took care of Notre Dame, and took care of Duke, and more than double digits in each game. So more than single digits, rather. They really did a lot of good stuff, and I think they can continue that. They have a tough matchup against Texas. That's the only thing that scares me, but we'll get to that later. But my sleeper team is actually going to be the UConn Huskies. Now, the thing is with the Huskies, yeah, they lost in the semifinals of the Big East to Villanova, but they're second in the country in offensive rebounding. And when it comes to March Madness, you need to be, eating glass down there. And I think they have a favorable matchup. I don't think, not to get too far ahead, but I think they get past New Mexico State. And then really, I think Arkansas is on the upset alert. So I think they could get into that Sweet 16 against Gonzaga pretty easily. And they're a sleeper team for me. Now, we're going to go over my bracket. I'm going to fill out a bracket here. But Ryan, I'd love to get your take on your Final Four, as well as who do you think is going to be cutting down the nets at the end of this season in New Orleans?
It's obviously really tough picking these games and stuff, but my current Final Four would be I'd have Gonzaga, UCLA, the 1 and the 4, and then I have Villanova against the number 5 Iowa, and then in the national championship I have Gonzaga and Villanova, and the champions is Villanova. There really wasn't a lot of thought going into this, but I just, Villanova is my team. I just have a good sense when they're going to, win it. I knew I had a feeling they were going to win it in 2015. I thought they were going to easily win it in 2017, which they did. And
2018,
I just get that.
Got you.
Sorry, 2018. But Gonzaga, you just something always they're always the number 1 overall team, and they're always good. They always got the stars and stuff, but I think you're doing yourself an injustice picking them to win it all, because where does that ever get you? Where does that ever lead you to a winning bracket? Something always happens to them in the Final Four championship. I think Gonzaga definitely goes far, but I think, I don't know. I'm just not high on them. And then Iowa, I didn't pay too much close attention to Iowa, but until the Big Ten conference tournament. But wow, Keegan Murray for Iowa is one of the best players in the country for sure. I mean, he could do it all, post up, shoots the 3 ball well. And I just think they're a pretty big, somewhat of a sleeper team. And then UCLA, I don't know. It's kind of just, Ju Zhang. They got a lot of clutch players, it's just they're a team that just always seems to, in the final minutes of the game usually pulls it out. But yeah, that's my final four.
Yeah, no, I think there's some good picks there. I really do. But at the same time, what I like about Iowa is, and a lot of people are jumping on that Iowa bandwagon, and rightfully so. They had a great Big Big Ten tournament. But yeah, no, I like the Villanova pick. Villanova, they make a lot of free throws. That's what you need to do in March. And yeah, I like your final four. So without further ado, I'm going to fill out the official Prince's March Madness bracket. And yeah, let's get right into it, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
So starting off with Gonzaga, we'll start with the West. We'll fill out each side of the bracket to the final four and then work our way.
Mm-hmm.
So starting off, Gonzaga, they're not going to lose. That's pretty easy. Now, Boise State, Memphis. A lot of people like Memphis in this game. Public is super heavy on Memphis, but I'm going to go the other way. I like Boise State. They've been a very good road team all season long, and it just seems like to me that they are the right choice going against Memphis. Memphis didn't really look good in the American Championship game, and they can't really hit their free throws. Now, Boise State's not really the greatest at their free throws either, but they got clutch players, a lot of seniors. And Memphis, honestly, they started off really bad this year with high expectations, worked their way into the tournament. First tournament appearance under Penny. But I think this is as far as they go. Give me Boise State. Next up, UConn. I think UConn gets through New Mexico State. And I'd love to get your take on this next one. Oh, damn. Well, yeah, I'm going to take them anyway. But Vermont against Arkansas. I like Vermont in this game. I really do. I think Arkansas has been a team all season long that people have been a little too high on. And this is a spot for Vermont to really get that second tournament win in their program's history. And the spread's only 5 points, which is really telling in this one. That means Vegas is on the side of Vermont, so I'm going to take them. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm on Vermont as well. I think they have phenomenal offense. They've won 22 of their past 23 games. I'm actually very surprised they're a 13 seed, to be honest with you. But that's that. I mean, there's a few teams that I'm honestly pretty surprised by the seeding, but Vermont is actually one of them, I feel like. And yeah, they got that forward, I believe, is Ryan Davis, and I mean they can score like electrically. So yeah, I've Vermont as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good matchup for Vermont. I think they take it, so I'm going to put them in, and I think they win that game. Next up, we got Alabama against Rutgers and Notre Dame. Now, the thing is, I really like Alabama, and they've really underachieved this season. I had a lot of high expectations. You look at this team. They've beaten Houston, all right? They've beaten Gonzaga, and there's a few other top-tier teams that they've beaten. They've beaten Baylor. I mean, they got a great resume. They beat Memphis as well. They just have not been able to. They've lost to a lot of scrubby teams, but I still think that they should get the win. So I'm going to take Alabama on that one, regardless of who it is. But I think Rutgers gets through Notre Dame tonight, personally. Next up, Texas Tech. No really explanation there. Texas Tech, I think they have a deep run in them this year. They're a good team, and you're going to see a trend. I really like Big 12 teams this year. I think the Big 12 is just absolutely stacked. Next up, Michigan State, Davidson. Now, Ryan, me and you were talking, previously before the show. We're big on Tom Izzo come March. And the thing is, Davidson, yeah, but you can't tell me that a Davidson team, they had a great season, that lost to the Richmond Spiders on Sunday is going to turn around 4 days later and beat Tom Izzo. I don't think so. I'm going to go with Michigan State. This is setting up way too much for Michigan State Duke uh, round of 32 matchup. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I think so for sure. Izzo, I think one of our friends said earlier, it's like, it's like comes March and it's like just a much better team, it seems, every year. So yeah, and Davidson, I mean, yeah, they had a good run in them, but yeah, I think Michigan State's got this one.
Yeah, no, I like where Michigan State is. They lost in a tight battle against Purdue in the Big Ten semis. They've been good all year. I mean, you can't really think like because the Big Ten was so competitive this year that you really can't um, knock them because they have such a good strength of schedule. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I'm taking Michigan State, and I think that Michigan State's only -1. So I'm going to take Michigan State on the spread bet as well. Duke, we're going to take them. I think we get a Coach K, Tom Izzo round of 32 matchup. Then going up to the top of the bracket, I'm going to take Gonzaga to get past Boise State. I think I think Gonzaga will win that game by double digits. I think they get past Boise State pretty easily. UConn obviously past Vermont. Then Alabama, Texas Tech. This should be a very good game. One of these games is going to be super close, but I got to go personally. I got to go with Texas Tech in this one. I love the type of basketball they've been playing, but I would not be surprised if Alabama won this game. So next up, we got Michigan State and Duke. Ryan, I got to say it. Duke has been disappointing all season long. This is the first true upset that the Prince is going to call. I'm taking Michigan State to get out of this, to get into the Sweet 16 and knock off Coach K and Duke. They've been really disappointing. The big games this year they've lost. Although back in the start of the season they beat Gonzaga, but still, I think Michigan State's better. And the thing is, I think Duke's overvalued as a 2 seed. Really, I do. I don't think they're a 2 seed. I think they're a 3, maybe even a 4. They got talent, but they haven't been able to piece it together. And their record's been very inflated due to a very weak ACC. So I'm taking Michigan State. What do you think?
I really don't know. I definitely agree. Something doesn't seem right about Duke being a 2 seed. I definitely agree with that. They definitely are more of the 3 or 4, which I obviously agree with too. But I don't know. I have Michigan State and Duke here. I took Duke, but I'm definitely second guessing this after really thinking about it because I'm not really big on Michigan State's team per se. I mean, I love Izzo obviously, but I don't know. I think this is going to be I don't see this being a blowout either way, but I probably would lean toward Duke, but wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Michigan State were to defeat Duke.
Now I'm going with Texas Tech against Michigan State. I pulled up the numbers there. They kind of explain themselves. I think Texas Tech is an absolute juggernaut of a team. I think they get past Michigan State. Michigan State, good run, win 2 games in the tournament, knock off Duke, but that's where their run ends. And then to get to the Sweet 16, to get to the Elite 8, call me crazy, but I'm taking UConn. I'm taking UConn over Gonzaga in the Sweet 16. Little reason why. Because when you've seen Gonzaga go down this season, they've been punched in the mouth. And guess what UConn does? They play that gritty, Big East style basketball where they can offensive rebound, they can out hustle the other team. I like UConn in this game, and I think UConn has a very good chance to make the Final Four. Now, in our bracket where we did the little funky rules, I had UConn beating Texas Tech. But for the sake of my viewers and what I want them to do, I'm taking Texas Tech to make the Final Four. So we have the West done. Texas Tech is coming out. Now we're going to go to the South. Arizona, they're winning that game. Doesn't even matter who wins tonight. I'm taking TCU. I like TCU all season long. They've been able to get a lot of good wins this year, a lot of quality wins. I like TCU in that matchup. Houston, UAB. Yeah, it's jelly time. I love what UAB does, but I think Houston's undervalued as a 5 seed. They play, you saw the run that they had last season. I think they can continue that. They had 2 losses this year to Memphis. They lost to SMU, lost to Alabama in a tight game, but I like Houston in the spot, and I like them personally. I'm going to click them to go ahead. I like them to get to the Sweet 16 and beat an Illinois team who isn't as good as they were last year. Yeah, they got Kofi, but I'm pumping the brakes on Illinois. Anything that you disagree with so far in the first couple picks?
No, I have everything that you got for sure. It's UAB is tempting, and so is Chattanooga, but I don't know. I think Illinois. I think for sure they're not as strong as they were last year, but they went out, I believe, in the round of 32 last year. It was pretty early, so I think they definitely can go further than that. And Houston, I agree, definitely undervalued at the 5 seed spot. So, and then obviously I do have TCU and Arizona. So yeah, I agree.
So next up, we got Colorado State, Michigan. Colorado State has done very good this year, and I really like the way that they play basketball. Michigan, they're without their starting one of their guards, and honestly, they haven't been good all season long. I don't understand why they're favored in this game. So I'm going to take Colorado State in this one, and and also Tennessee as well. Did you take Colorado State or did you take Michigan? I mean, that's been one of the most like up in the air picks for a lot of people so far.
I actually lean toward Michigan a little bit, and it's not really for any necessarily particular reason. It's just I just think they have a really good team. I don't understand. I still don't get why they were so unsuccessful this year. So I don't know. It doesn't necessarily sit right with Michigan going out in the first round. I know they've had their struggles, but I did have Michigan beating Colorado State. I'm just not very familiar with Colorado State, so I could definitely be wrong there.
Honestly, fuck it. Michigan's one of these teams that I'm going to change my pick, because the thing is, Hunter Dickinson, Eli Brooks, these are guys that they got leadership. They know what it takes to dance. Juwan Howard's going to have these guys ready to play. I'm changing my pick. I'm taking Michigan. Next up, we got Ohio State. We got Loyola Chicago. A lot of people like Loyola Chicago in this one, but I just don't see it. I think it's a public dog. A lot of people are on Loyola Chicago. It makes sense, but at the same time, Ohio State's one of these teams that they've had their times this year. See, Liddell is still fire. Yeah, they got bounced by Penn State in the Big Ten tournament, but I like Ohio State in this matchup, and Villanova to get past Delaware.
Yeah, pretty easy there.
Did you take Loyola or did you take Ohio State?
I did take Loyola Chicago. However, they don't have that same almost underdog mentality that they once did. I think they kind of lost that. So yeah. I have Loyola Chicago. I think they could beat Ohio State, but I think they had their one, Cinderella story, and they don't have that same feeling. So, Villanova, Loyola Chicago. I think Villanova coasts to the Sweet 16 either way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Villanova got a very, very good, seeding here and a good side of the bracket. But I agree, that's a toss-up. I'm going to go Tennessee in this one. I think Michigan can match up very well against Tennessee. You know what? I'm actually going to change my pick. I like Michigan to beat Tennessee. And You know what? Yeah, and just to spend 5 minutes more, I think about it, I like Michigan. I think Tennessee's been overvalued all season long. And yeah, they won the SEC. They're riding high. A lot of people are picking them, but I'm still not sold. I think the SEC is weak outside of Kentucky come March, and I'm going to go with Michigan. And Villanova is going to coast into the Elite Eight, which I expect them to do. Now I'll go to the top of the bracket. Another upset. I'm going with TCU over Arizona. And you might be thinking, like, you are off your rocker, but let me just tell you this. Arizona is in a very weak Pac-12. And yes, you have UCLA. I love USC. I loved them last year. But guess what? They're the most overrated team in the country. Most overrated team in the country. And Arizona didn't have that late loss in the season. And I think that's going to hurt them. TCU, they've beaten the good teams this year. They beat Kansas, all right? I believe they beat Baylor. They beat Iowa State. They beat Oklahoma. They beat teams that are solid, and they know what it's going to take to win. They're a gritty team that plays defense, and they can shoot. I like TCU in this game. Next up, you're probably thinking I'm crazy, huh?
Hey, you might sound a little crazy, but it's madness. Anything can happen, and I've said this before, but I just try not to overthink this so much, because I don't care what kind of certification you have, what kind of expert in college basketball. Nobody really has a clue what's going to happen most of these games. So anything can happen.
Yeah. Now, Houston, TCU, I think Houston has enough. I think it's the Houston, Villanova, Elite Eight, and I'm going to go with the Wildcats to get over the Cougars and get to the Final Four. I think this is a bracket that really sets up nice for Villanova. And, yeah, so we got half of the Final Four set. We're heading down to the Midwest. And, yeah, so basically Midwest, Kansas, they're going through. I'm taking Creighton over San Diego State. I know San Diego State, a lot of people like them. They got blown out last year in the first round, I believe, by Syracuse. And Creighton, that's actually going to be one of my locks of the round of 64. I love Creighton as an underdog in this spot. I'm taking Creighton all day long. Next up, we got Iowa-Richmond. I don't think this game's going to be particularly close. I think it's going to be a 20 to 25-point game. Give me Iowa, and I like them to cover the spread at -9. I might lay the chalk with them. Providence, South Dakota State. I like South Dakota State is a public darling. Everybody seems to really like South Dakota State, and rightfully so. They've been really good this season, really good. But it's a 2-point spread. People are jumping all over San Diego State. I'm going to go with Providence. Ed Colley's going to be able to get them a win. And they had a good season this year. They didn't really – the games that they should have won, they won. The games that they should have lost, they lost. So I'm going to take Providence in this one. I know you like South Dakota State. I'm going to take Providence to at least win one game. Next up, LSU, Iowa State. This is the one that's a toss-up to me. And LSU, their coach is gone. They don't have much now. Iowa State, I don't even know how they really made the tournament, because they started off good. Both of these teams started off good, and they just ended so shitty. So shitty. Iowa State, every time I've watched them this year, they've lost. So why, go against that? Give me LSU. What did you take in that one?
I took LSU too. I agree. I think both teams are. I'm not too big on either team. I think it's one of those. It doesn't really matter who wins, because I think both of them will be out the next round. But I did go with LSU. Iowa State. Again, I really don't know how they even made it to the tournament, like you said. But yeah, I took LSU.
Yeah. So then we got USC Miami. This game's tough for me. I mean, I'm going to go with USC. They had a good year last year. They they had a good year this year, but the games that they didn't really impress me. I'll take USC. I don't think Miami's very good. That's another team that's like, how the hell did they make it? They had a few good wins, but I'm going to take USC. Then Auburn to get past Jacksonville State. Now, going up here, well, at the bottom of the bracket, I'm going to take Auburn to get to the Sweet 16. I think they probably win that game pretty easily against USC. I guess I'm going to take Wisconsin. I don't really feel confident in this. I think LSU or Wisconsin could win this game, or even possibly Iowa State. I'm going to take Wisconsin, though, to move on. Going up here, I'm going to take Iowa to get past Providence. I think they have too much scoring for Providence. And, yeah, I think they win that game pretty easily. Next up, Kansas Creighton. I like Kansas a lot, man. I really do. I really like Kansas. I'm going to take Kansas over Creighton. Is this pretty much in line, like kind of what you had in your Sweet 16 out of the Midwest?
I took Creighton, actually. Again, I had Creighton beating Kansas. I think Kansas is a very good team for sure. I don't know. I kind of view them similar to Gonzaga. They're always usually a 1 seed, but I don't know. I feel like especially for Kansas, they seem notorious for losing in the round of 32 or the Sweet 16. So I like Creighton a lot. I really do. If they can shoot the 3 ball, I think they're a very good 9 seed. And I'm always big on Big East teams in the tournament. So I did go up with Creighton there, but again, Kansas could definitely win, but I went with Creighton over Kansas.
So I'm going with Kansas over Iowa. I think Iowa's run ends here, and I think Kansas makes it down here. I'm going to go with Auburn over Wisconsin. I think this game could go either way. And I think we set up an Elite Eight matchup for a 1-2, really. Because I don't think in this region, I personally think this is the easiest region out of all of them, in a way. Because the thing is, there's a lot of teams, like outside of Iowa, Kansas, and Auburn, I don't see any team that can win this region. I just don't. So I think it's going to be one of those 3 teams. Now, over to the East. Oh, I didn't finish. I like Kansas to make the Final Four and play Villanova. I think they just have a lot of depth. They have a lot of talent this year, and they stand out to me. Now, over here, Baylor, Norfolk State. I'm taking Baylor. Norfolk State's good. I think they could pull the upset, if you want to call it that. If you want to, I don't see it. Marquette, North Carolina. I like Marquette in this spot. I think North Carolina is very overvalued. I don't even think they should be a tournament team if they didn't beat Duke in that last game, to be honest. They haven't really impressed me all season long. They got scoring, but they played no defense. I'm going to take Marquette. I like Marquette. I like what Shaka Smart brings to the table with his team. I'm going to take Marquette in this spot over North Carolina, especially with the public always heavy on North Carolina. Next up, St. Mary's, Indiana. I think this could be a very, very good game. I've bet on Indiana all season long. I faded them last night. I took the L on that one. But, St. Mary's is one of these teams that, I don't know how they're a 5, man. I really don't. I just don't get it. It's like, yeah, they have some good non-conference wins, this and that this season, but at the same time, the West Coast Conference, in my opinion, is always so overrated. Gonzaga, they beat Gonzaga once, and it's like, oh, they deserve to be a 5 seed. Gonzaga wouldn't even be the number 1 overall seed if they were in a better conference. So I'm going to take Indiana in this one. I've liked what they've done all season long. Although I wouldn't be surprised if St. Mary's won this game just because it's in Portland and it's tomorrow night and Indiana has to fly after they beat Wyoming in a tough battle. fly all the way across the country and play St. Mary's. But I'm going to take Indiana in this one. I think Trace Jackson Davis, he's an animal. If you haven't seen him, you should. I'm going to take Indiana. And there's always one 5-12 that you always got to rock with. I'm going to take UCLA. I like UCLA a lot, and so I'm going to take UCLA there. Texas, Virginia Tech. This one I think is probably one of the trickiest ones to call of the round of 64. The thing is, a lot of people are on Virginia Tech now. They're the sexy pick. They just won the ACC. Texas, Chris Beard, I mean, they've been good all year. I mean, they've had some good wins. They've had some bad losses. They've been pretty underwhelming, if you ask me, and they're notorious for always losing in the round of 64. But Virginia Tech's known for that, too. I think this game's close. Originally, I wanted to take Texas. I really did, but I think Virginia Tech wins this game. I do. I think Virginia Tech beats Texas. Next up, we got Purdue and Yale. I like Purdue. The thing is with Texas and Virginia Tech, and this is one thing that I always got to say to my viewers, and if you're watching at home, when you're filling out your bracket, don't get tripped up over these games where it's like, oh, it's in the round of 64. Who's going to win? It's a toss-up. If you know they're going to get bounced, whatever team's going to get bounced in the next round. And I don't see either one of those teams beating Purdue. So I'm gonna take Virginia Tech. I'm gonna take Purdue. Now, down at the bottom, I like Kentucky, and I like actually San Francisco in this game. Now, Murray State's very good. Like they balled out this season. But the thing is, San Francisco, the reason I'm taking this, I'm betting the number. San Francisco is only +2 in this game, which is very surprising to me because every good team that they've played this season, they've got smoked by. Murray State, they're a good team. But they're in a candy ass conference. I'll believe it when I see it. Neither one of these teams is beating Kentucky. I'm taking San Francisco in this game. They got a good 1-2 punch in the backcourt. I'm going to go with San Francisco in this game. And right on cue, I'm going to take Kentucky to get past them. I like Kentucky this year. I really do. So next up, Purdue, Virginia Tech, Jaden Ivey. First, let's talk a little bit about Jaden Ivey. How good has he been this year?
Yeah, he's something special, and I thought honestly, I think every Purdue fan's heart was in the championship, but yeah, he does it all.
Yeah, I'm saying it here first. Jaden Ivey should be the number 1 pick in the draft next year. That's how special I think this kid is. I like Purdue to get past Virginia Tech. Next up, Indiana, UCLA. I think that could be a very good game, but Indiana doesn't have enough scoring for me. The reason I think they can get past St. Mary's is because they have just enough, and St. Mary's doesn't score much either. I'm going to take UCLA to get past Indiana. Baylor, I like them to get past Marquette. I think Baylor sets up a very good Elite Eight between these two teams. Well, sorry, a Sweet 16 between these two teams. 4 teams, rather. I like UCLA to get past Baylor. I think Baylor's run comes to an end against UCLA. And I'm going to take them over Baylor this season in this game. And I'm also going to take Kentucky to get past Purdue. We kind of have a Blue Bloods type of Elite Eight matchup that I really hope I get to see. And I like Kentucky. I like Kentucky to make the Final Four. And so there we have it. There's the Final Four. Kansas, Villanova, Kentucky, Texas Tech. What are your thoughts, Ryan?
Yeah, definitely very possible. I mean, I really, really love Villanova, as we both agreed on that. Texas Tech, I was very, very tempted to take them over Gonzaga, and I might actually change my mind, but I don't know. It's Gonzaga will probably lose around there, either that game or the next one. Kansas, again, they I'm not that high on Kansas, but that doesn't mean that they can't make a long run. And then what was the last team? I can't really see on the. What was your last team?
Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah, Kentucky. I like Kentucky a lot. They usually always shows up against real good teams and stuff. They're pretty well rounded, So yeah, I think the Final Four that you predicted here, I think it definitely is very, very possible.
So first, I'm going to start off with Kentucky. I think Kentucky beats Texas Tech in the Final Four. I think Kentucky can get to the championship game. And they've had adversity this year. They've been able to handle it. They had a late loss against Tennessee, which I think is going to help them, not hurt them. And Tshiebwe is a monster down low. If he's not in foul trouble, I think they can get past Texas Tech. And then the other Final Four, this is the thing. I love Villanova. They're my team as well. And Connor Gillespie is playing out of his mind. And put it this way, I think whoever wins this game is going to win the national championship. These are the two teams that I think win the national championship. If I had to pick between these two teams, but I'm going to go with Kansas. And I hate to say it, I love what Kansas brings to the table. And I know, listen, I mean, I could not complain if we got a Kansas-Kentucky national championship, two blue blood programs going head-to-head. I'll be rooting for Nova, but I got to go with Kansas. And then Kansas-Kentucky, they met before, and Kentucky beat them by, 20, 30 points on Kansas's home court. And I just like what Kansas brings to the table. I love the guy. I believe his name's Lightfoot. Bill Self, he's due to win a national championship. I'm going to go with the Kansas Jayhawks to win the championship. That is my pick. That is who I'm riding with in this game. And, just for shits and gigs, I'm going to go with Kansas 72-66. That is my final prediction. And the Kansas Jayhawks are going to be lifting that banner, cutting down the nets and raising a banner next year. So, Ryan, what did you think about my picks here?
I liked a lot of them for sure. I'm not as high on Kansas as you are. That's probably our biggest difference. Because I actually have Kansas going out in the round of 32, so that'll definitely be interesting to see where Kansas goes because that's our biggest difference. I liked Purdue a lot this season, but after watching them a lot, I think they do have major defensive issues. So I was real high on them, but I think Virginia Tech could possibly beat Purdue if Virginia Tech gets past Texas, but we'll see. I actually do like Murray State, but again, I'm not confident in this pick because, like you said, they play in a kind of like a very weak conference, and you can't really. I just won't be able to trust a team like that. I actually like North Carolina. I think they have a good amount of momentum coming in. I think beating Duke, Coach K's last home game at home was huge. I actually do have North Carolina beating Baylor in the round of 32, which again is risky. I just went crazy with the upsets this year, to be honest with you. But overall, I liked your picks for sure. I love Texas Tech. I like UConn a lot as well. Not extremely high on Gonzaga as well. I don't. Arizona, I agree. I think they're probably one of the most overrated teams. I think their record is very misleading. And yeah, for the most part, I like the picks.
Sounds good, bro. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate you coming on. Always a pleasure chopping it up with you. For those of you guys that aren't following Ryan already, follow him on Instagram at Ryan Brankovich. And also don't forget to like and subscribe down below. If you guys hit my DM on Twitter, Parlay Prince Pod, DM me on Instagram, Morak_1. And if you guys need any advice, any tips, I'd love to help you out and make you guys some bread. March is for people to make money, and it's not for the casinos to make money. It's for you guys to make money. So always remember that. So Ryan, thanks again. And that wraps up this Parlay Prince podcast March Madness edition. We'll see you next time.